Overview video of what we want during plant checks. Before entering the room, check the ammonia alarms are not going off. If the ammonia alarms are going off, don't enter the room, call for help. If the alarms are off, then you're fine to enter and check the parts per million. Make sure it says room here, because if it says vent, then it's not the room, it's the vent line sensor. Record the parts per million at the top of the page, time of day, and then come in here and head first straight to the display panel. The first thing you're going to look at is the set points and the ice temperatures. So you want to compare your active set point, which is here. Right now I've turned it up because I want the plant off while I record this, to your temperature here. If your ice temperature is above your active set point, then it should be calling and the plant should be running. If you click here, you can see if this is green there and there, that means it should be calling for the compressors to run. You get your stat temperature, your warm floor temperatures off of here. You record them there, as well as your set point. Come down here, compressor 1, compressor 2, hour meters. Over the compressors. High pressure, low pressure, suction pressure, high pressure, low pressure, oil pressure, same as the old plant. Oil level, same as before. Solid if it's running, straight line if it's off. This is something new. On here we've got the low pressure temperature, and that's your suction temperature, and back here you've got your discharge temperature. Same on both compressors. Paying attention to those numbers will give you a good idea of how much work the compressor is doing. You'll see how much heat is being added to the ammonia vapor using the compressors. Down here, this is our pump for the cooling jacket, and this is our pressure for the cooling jacket. Cooling jacket cools the compressor heads just like the radiator in your car cools your engine. Important to have those running. You can see everything in the room is labeled. P302 means it's that pump. After we do our jacket pressure, which is that one there, the next thing we're looking at is here. Inlet, outlet on the warm glycol supply. So you're recording temperature here, temperature up there, and then you're coming down to the ammonia sight glasses. So you should see ammonia in here and ammonia in here, and those are the two that we're recording. So ammonia, ammonia. Very important that there's ammonia in there, and that's why we're checking it. Over here, this sight glass, we're not worrying about it because it should never have ammonia in it, and we're trying to keep the number of checks minimal. You can see there's a lot more sight glasses around the room, but we're just focusing on the two most important ones. Next, we are going to our brine pumps. So if you come around here, you're going to get your brine pumps. So we're going to label the rest of these, but you got temperatures, pressures on all your pumps, and I've put in brackets here what you can look at to reference for all of these to give you the closest. So like, for example, this tag 222 is the closest tag to this temperature gauge. Really make it a little bit easier to find what you're looking for. So we're going to do our 3 cold floors. Next we're going to go up and look at our balance tanks. We need to add some lines and some black markings to these in order to make them a little bit easier to read. You've got the 2 cold floors and the heat floor. After the balance tanks, next we are going to go down to, and you can see those are also labeled the same as well. Warm floor, so you've got warm floor glycol supply, you've got your east and west warm floor pump pressures, and your snow melt pit, that's all right here. And then after that, you've got this one here. This is an important one. Water level at red line. So this here, this always needs to be with the water level there. We don't want it higher or lower than the red line. If you just give it a little shake, you can see where it's sitting. And then this one here, operator signature, just like before. We've added this because this is very important. Unusual noise, vibration, or other issues reported. So if you notice anything that's slightly out of the ordinary, and it's going to take a while probably to know what's ordinary, we want you to report it. So you're reporting it to FMT, to Randy, to Gateway. So let your supervisor or one of the FMTs know if there's any unusual issues. The whole reason we want plant checks to be done with you walking around the room looking at things rather than just looking at the computer screen in the office is because there's so many things that you're never going to see on that computer screen. That computer screen isn't going to tell you if a compressor or a motor is vibrating funny. It's not going to tell you if a motor's bearings are squealing. It's not going to tell you anything other than what the few sensors that are in the lines can decipher. So the importance of doing actual checks in the room cannot be stressed enough. In our old refrigeration plant, there was one time that I came in, I was doing my plant checks, and as I did my plant checks, I could just feel in my feet that there was sort of unusual vibration in the floor that wasn't familiar. The whole room always vibrated when it was running, but it was a different type of vibration. It took me a little while to pinpoint where it was, but eventually what I realized is that the entire compressor had broken from its welds. So this compressor package is welded onto the floor. Well, the room and the compressor vibrated so much that it broke from its welds, and the entire thing had moved a few inches that way. And because it had moved, that then is putting stress on all the ammonia lines. You don't want the ammonia lines to be under stress. So these are the types of things that you can pick up by walking around the room and doing a inspection on the equipment, recording all of these numbers. I know it seems a little bit onerous sometimes, but it's not just about the numbers and the information. It's really about paying attention to the equipment and knowing if it runs properly or not. This is extremely expensive equipment, and it's very important for the operation of the arenas. And we want any issues to be picked up sooner rather than later, so that they can be addressed before they become bigger issues or major safety issues. If you look at what happened in Fernie, a lot of that could have been avoided, and that's a big part of what we're trying to do.